All right, peace and blessings, all praises to the Most High. A 40-year-old white man, here's the picture, Shaun Szwarz, has been charged with yelling racial slurs before setting an apartment building on fire. Just take a listen at this news video, which gives you a little bit of details about the heinous nature of his events, yet and still, there's no mention of a hate crime.
And tonight we are learning new details about a harrowing escape from a Portland apartment fire. Fire investigators say a resident of the building is suspected of arson. Neighbors tell K2 what they saw that suspect doing moments before he was taken into custody. K2's Victor Park is diving into this story and joins us live now. So Victor, first with details on those who survived the fire. Tell us more.
That's right. Hey, good evening, Barry. And tonight, two people are still recovering from serious injuries, including one a neighbor says is an 82-year-old woman who had to jump from a balcony.
A day after flames tore through this apartment complex, we went back to see what is left. Footsteps lined the front of Michael Jones's unit after
the 82-year-old lady who jumped off that balcony over there to try to make it out, and these are her prints where she stumbled out to the curb.
The woman was one of 8 people rescued from the 3-story burning building. A cat and 4 dogs were also rescued. The blaze prompted a 4-alarm fire response. Portland Fire says 2 people were taken to the hospital. One had 3rd-degree burns and multiple fractures.
It's an insane story.
Maybe just as insane are details Jones is sharing about the suspect, who was also a resident.
The guy had the nerve to come back here, and his words, there were a lot of African-American people, the neighbors out here, like, oh, these are all my black friends, you know. He says that verbatim, like he didn't just displace all of these people. And then police ended up coming to get him.
The fire was so intense, it melted these 3 cars here. And by the way, crews got to work pretty quickly, setting up this fence here, building a makeshift stairwell, and boarding up those windows.
David Richards had just woken up.
And all I can hear is like screaming, a fire, fire, fire. I hear breaking glass. I walk out to my patio, and then I can see the whole scene, just fire and smoke just billowing from the units in front of me.
Richards escaped safely, and believe it or not, he thinks this could have been much worse.
It was a really, really scary scene. And thankfully my kids weren't here, because it would have been a totally different scenario.
In the meantime, multiple families are still trying to figure out what to do next.
And it's all because of, an idiot moment, is what I like to call people have idiot moments, and that was one of them.
All right, and by the way, police identified the suspect as Shaun Szwarz. He is facing more than a dozen charges, including reckless endangering, arson, and criminal mischief. We're live here in Northeast Portland. I'm Victor Park, K2 News.
All right. Once again, this is the man, Shaun Szwarz. Now, it's funny they say that the apartment complex had a lot of black people, but they only interviewed one black guy with the wave cap on, saying that it was an idiot moment. What about a racist moment? Now, again, I'm going to tell you what his lawyer is saying about this incident, saying that he had no ill intentions. But considering the fact that he was heard yelling racial slurs from his apartment before setting the whole apartment complex on fire, I think the racial aspect cannot be denied. Now, they're saying that he said that he was in the apartment and, he was yelling in an argument with his girlfriend. Later on, police called that girlfriend and said that she hadn't talked to him in 2 years. And then he said he was just on the phone with someone. Now, then he told authorities that, there was a gas can by his couch, but and then it may have leaked. But then the fire department investigation said there's evidence of gasoline all around his apartment, meaning he deliberately set that fire and then left and then come back. Remember, they say criminals always return to the scene of the crime to see the damage that he had done. Now, as the brother mentioned, an 82-year-old lady, black lady, had to jump out of her window, 82 years old, and she's suffering a lot of injuries. 9 families have been displaced. 8 of the 19 apartments in the building are inhabitable, and all of this destruction, and yet and still there is no mention of a hate crime. Even you heard the brother say it's almost a taunting matter, like, hey, these are all my black friends, after you yelled racial slurs and then set the apartment on fire. Now, just take a listen of what his lawyer is saying in his defense. I understand that the court has already found this to be a violent felony, the defense attorney said. I understand this fire was very dangerous to other people. But in terms of, I think, the nexus, and that Mr. Szwarz obviously is charged with starting this fire, but in terms of the nexus of having some type of intent for a threat to serious physical injury, I didn't see any evidence of a serious physical injury from the brief discovery I received in the affidavit. This is the privilege of whiteness. To have a lawyer saying, well, he didn't mean any intent about hurting anybody when setting a fire with an apartment complex full of people and making an 82-year-old lady have to jump from her balcony. Any injury to an 82-year-old lady is a serious injury, especially when we're talking about falls and broken bones. Those things don't heal easy as you get older. So the level of gall of this lawyer, or the level of privilege of, this white man, after yelling racial slurs and setting an apartment on fire, is beyond comprehension. It's absolutely reprehensible to think that a lawyer would attempt to defend that and say, well, he meant no harm. Like, is he 6? If he was 6 and was playing with mattress, I can agree. But this is a 40-year-old grown man who knew exactly what he was doing. If not, he would have stayed in that apartment as well and burnt to a crisp. Fortunately, once again, everybody escaped. As you heard the white man, fortunately, my kids weren't there. If they was, it would have been a whole nother different situation. I don't know what he meant by that, but I think it was some sort of a backhand threat. But there you see, once again, to all of the people who depend on these countries' laws and justice and expect us to get that, there's no reason why this man should be not charged with a hate crime when setting fire and then yelling racial slurs before you do that. If this was a synagogue or whatever the case may be, and he yelled those things, he would definitely be charged with those crimes. So we're going to keep an eye on this case. He's currently in jail without bond, which is exactly where he needs to be. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this story in the comments. Again, you see the number 919-587-7782. Thank y'all for liking, watching, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And as always, peace and blessings.